Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to break down a highly specific, actionable 8-step progression drawn directly from our source material, 12 Steps to a Good Life. We're going to look at exactly how you can conquer deep-seated resentment and ultimately reclaim your inner peace. If you've ever felt trapped by the memory of being wronged or kind of paralyzed by a grudge you just can't seem to shake, well, this framework is going to be incredibly valuable for you.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, the poison of resentment. Second, redefining true forgiveness. Then, steps 1 through 4, which are the internal shifts, followed by steps 5 through 8, the outward actions, and finally, the lifelong practice. This structured climb is going to take us right from the valley of unacknowledged pain all the way to the summit of personal peace.
Section 1. The poison of resentment. Validating your anger.
Look, when someone wrongs you, feeling lingering anger is a completely natural response. Your feelings make total sense. But we have to establish the high stakes of what holding on to that anger actually does to you. As the text states, resentment is the poison you drink hoping someone else will die. It's a blunt statement for sure, but it hits the nail on the head. The source material actually labels resentment as the #1 offender that blocks our spiritual energy. It literally destroys us from the inside out. It doesn't punish the person who hurt you. They're probably just going about their day completely unaware. Instead, that resentment just slowly destroys you.
So you gotta ask yourself, why do we keep drinking it? Why is it so incredibly hard to just let it go? Well, the text points out that our brains actually evolved with survival instincts that amplify fear and anger. We have this old brain that constantly focuses on threats, and it traps us in these endless cycles of bitterness by continually replaying past dangers to protect us. It's a defense mechanism, right? But it's one that just ends up keeping us stuck in our own misery.
Section 2. Redefining true forgiveness. Shifting the paradigm.
To break that biological cycle we just talked about, we need a massive paradigm shift. Society often teaches us that forgiveness is about letting the offender off the hook, but it absolutely is not. The text outlines 2 distinct types of forgiveness. First, there's altruistic forgiveness, which is about extending compassion to the person who wronged you. But more importantly for us, there's forgiveness for healing. This is about reclaiming your inner peace and freeing up your own blocked energy. Actually, it's a beautifully selfish act, aimed entirely at your own emotional growth and well-being.
Section 3. Steps 1 to 4. Internal shifts. The ascent begins. With that new definition firmly in mind, we're ready to start our ascent up the mountain. The first half of our framework requires some really profound internal mindset shifts. Let's walk through these granularly. Step 1 is to recognize and accept the pain without suppressing it. Don't pretend it doesn't hurt. Just acknowledge the wound. Step 2 asks you to reflect on times you were shown mercy or grace, which kind of reminds us of our shared human imperfection. Step 3 is where we navigate the really messy middle, trying to see the offender's humanity, even when it is incredibly difficult and you really don't want to. And finally, step 4 is consciously choosing peace.
Now, what's really interesting about this 4th step is the sheer emphasis on agency. You are making a conscious choice for your peace, not theirs. This step is about radically empowering yourself. It's deciding that you value your own serenity and your own future far more than you value nursing a grudge against someone else. You are taking your power back.
Section 4. Steps 5 to 8. Outward actions. Securing the summit.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the second half of the framework. Once that massive internal shift happens, we transition to practical outward actions and vital self-protection. Step 5 is finding healthy, actionable ways to physically and mentally let go of the pain. Step 6 is setting strict boundaries to avoid future harm. Step 7 is pulling your focus away from the past and anchoring it firmly on the present and the future. And Step 8 is simply being patient with your own healing, without judging yourself for how long it takes.
Looking closer at Step 5, we see that it requires real, actionable effort. The text explicitly lists 4 practical tools to help you release the pain: journaling, praying, meditating, or talking it through with someone you trust. You can't just wish the resentment away, right? You have to actively process it out of your system, and these are the mechanisms the source material recommends to do exactly that.
I want to isolate Step 6 with extreme emphasis here. Forgiveness does not mean dropping your boundaries. You can completely forgive someone in your heart for your own healing while still deliberately setting firm, concrete boundaries to ensure they cannot ever harm you again. You can communicate your limits without being harsh, for sure, but you absolutely must protect yourself. Forgiving the act does not mean inviting the actor back into your life unchecked.
Section 5. The lifelong practice. living in peace.
Now, if you thought you were just going to do these 8 steps once and be permanently cured, well, the text brings us back to reality. Forgiveness is a continuous, lifelong practice of patience and self-compassion. The author shares a very personal, relatable insight here, noting that he himself has to work at this constantly. Some days feel like an endless, repeating cycle of these phases. You might wake up in the morning acknowledging fresh anger, spend your afternoon slowly moving back to acceptance, and finally, by evening, consciously choosing forgiveness all over again. If you experience this, I want to reassure you, this repetition is a perfectly normal part of the process. Healing is almost never a straight line.
So, the crucial point is captured beautifully in a quote from the text by Mahatma Gandhi. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. Doing this inner work, facing your pain without suppressing it, and choosing to let it go requires immense strength and courage. It is not a passive surrender to the person who hurt you. It's an active, powerful choice to reclaim your own life.
As we close out this explainer on the 8 steps to forgiveness, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to apply to your own life. Think about the person or situation that's draining your spiritual energy right now. What boundary will you set today to protect your peace? You have the tools, you have the roadmap. Now it's time to take the climb.